Hello, everyone. We're going to continue in lesson 8, in this case, second part of the homework. We're going to do pages 95 and 96 of the lesson and problem solving book. So in this case, we're going to do identification of a linear function. So the problem says, remember, this is the key of the homework. And it says, study the example showing how to tell whether a function is linear. Then solve problems 1 through 6. So what we are going to do, problem number 1, in this case that we have there, I have an example. It says, consider the equation y equals x plus 2. That's your equation. Use the equation to complete the table. Then graph the equation. Does the equation y equals x plus 2 represents a linear function? Complete the table and graph the equation. So in this case, I have the values of x. They are giving me the values of x. -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Now, look what I'm going to do. So I have the equation is y equals x plus 2. So to find the values of y, okay, to find the values of y, I need to make the substitution of these values of x. For example, you have 1 point there. So you have y equals -2. See, I just changed x for -2 plus 2. Remember, it's y equals x plus 2. But x in this case is -2, so I made a substitution plus 2. We know that -2 plus 2 is 0. In this case, the first value of y is 0. So you have it there. So let's do the second one. So you have y equals x plus 2 equals. Then I have -1. So I'm going to put it here, -1 plus 2. So just think of 2 minus 1 equals 1. So the next value is 1. Now, y equals x plus 2. What is the next value? 0. So y is equals to 0 plus 2. So y equals 2. Okay, the second value, 2. Now, next one. Y equals x plus 2. Now, the value of x is 1 now. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. Now, look at the pattern now. You have 0, 1, 2, 3. So if we follow, the next one will be 4. Okay, I can prove it. So y equals x plus 2. I know x is 2. So y equals 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay, so I proved that here. X equals 4. They're asking me to graph, but the graph is already there. You have the graph, so we graph these points. The first one is -2, 0. Always remember that the first point is your value of x, and the second one is the value of y. So you go -2, 0, -2 in x. See, -2 in x. Then the next point is -1 and 1. -1 in x, 1 in y. And we go that way. So 0 and 2. Then 3 and 1 and 3. So 1 and 3. This one and so on. And then you graph and you can see it's a straight line. Now, the graph is a straight line, so the equation y equals x plus 2 represents a linear function. Another way that we've been learning in the classroom is y equals x plus 2 has the form y equals mx plus b, which is the linear function. Okay, so let's solve the following problems. Problem number 1. What is the initial value for the function in the example problem? What is the rate of change? So in this case, remember that you have y equals x plus 2. This value is your initial value every time. The number that is accompanying the x, the plus 2, is the initial value. So I'm going to say the initial value is 2. Now, what is the rate of change? Remember that the form y equals mx plus b, we said that m, the number next to the x, is the rate of change. So which number goes next to the x? Is 1. So the rate of change here, the rate of change is 1. That reason why, see this one, 0, 1, 2, 3, it goes by 1. Goes by 1, by 1, by 1. This one, by 1, by 1, by 1. That's the rate of change. Now, number 2. The linear functions can be written with equations in the forms y equals mx and y equals mx plus b. Which form is the linear function in the example problem? What are the values of m and b? What do they represent? We had it here. I mentioned it. So in this case is y equals mx plus b. That's the form. In this form, in this case, m represents the rate of change. Okay? The rate of change, and b represents the initial value. Okay, what are those values? Remember we mentioned here m is 1 and b is 2. So m equals 1 and b equals 2. Okay, let's do the next one. Next example. I have, do you think that the equation y equals 2x squared is a linear function? Explain why or why not. I'm going to say no. No. Now, why? Because the equation is not in the form y equals mx plus b. See, that x doesn't have any square. So if you have something square or something to the third power, is not a linear function. So it doesn't have the form y equals mx plus b or y equals mx. So in this case, it is the form, in this case, is the form y equals mx squared, which is not a linear function. So that will be the solution. So remember here, definition that we've been working is a linear function, a function with a graph that is a non-vertical straight line, which can be represented by a linear equation in the form y equals mx plus b, and your graph is a straight line. Okay, it's a straight line. So let's move to page 96. We're going to do 96. What they are asking me to solve. Okay, page 96, they are asking me to solve. Graph each equation below on the coordinate grid. Describe each graph and tell whether or not the equation represents a linear function. Okay, so in this case, for problem number 1, y equals 2x plus 2. Okay, we know it's a linear function. We know it's a linear function because it's in the form y equals mx plus b. Now the question is, what is the initial value? The initial value is 2. What is the rate of change? Is 2. So what that means, that I'm going to start in 2. See, y is going to be 2. Okay, and the rate of change means you're going up 2 units. So I'm going up 2 units and then to the right 1. And then you graph that one. I'm going to graph it here. Okay, what do you see? We see that this line crosses through -1. See that point over there? Now let's do the second one. Don't forget that every time you graph, these lines are with those arrows at the end. And I'm going to say this one is y equals 2x plus 2. Now I'm going to do the second one. You have y equals x squared plus 2. That one is a parabola. That one is a parabola. So in this case, this graph starts from 2. Okay, here's 2. And the rate of change, remember from the class we says varies. So we go up 1, right 1, up 1, left 1, and then it goes this way. It's a parabola. So it goes this way. You're going to learn this one later in the class. As you can see, the second one is not a linear function. Okay, it's not a linear function. So in this case, let's answer question A. This is a medium problem. I call it a medium problem. It's not that hard, but it's not that easy. It needs a little bit of thinking and paying attention in the class. So in this case, when we graph, okay, we said this is a linear function. This is a linear function. The graph is a line. We can say the graph is a line. What else can I say? The graph is a line that goes through 0 and 2. Look at this point, 0 and 2, and negative 1 and 0. Okay. For the second one, what I have the second one. The second one is y equals x squared plus 2. And that one is not a linear function. It's not a linear function. Okay. Okay. So we have y equals x squared is not a linear function because the graph is a curve. And as you can see, those points that the graph is going through is 1 and 3, negative 1 and 3. Okay? The curve is a curve that goes through the points negative 1, 3, and also is this one. See, negative 1 and 3. Then it goes through the point 0 and 2. And the other point that goes through is 1 and 3. So those points. So it's not a linear function. It's a curve, as you can see. And then let's do number 5. It says, which of these equations are linear functions that go through the point 0 and 6? Okay, 0 and 6. What that means? See these values here? 0, 6. That means that x is 0 and y is 6. That means the initial value is 6. And remember, if you have y equals mx plus b, b is your initial value. So from these equations, see, this one is not a linear equation. So I crossed out that one. Okay, I'm going to cross out that one. This one is 6x, doesn't have any initial value. So cross that one out. Then I have x plus 6, that's a linear, and it got a initial value of 6. And this one, y equals 2x plus 6, this one is also. So what we're going to put in those comments, the solution is y equals x plus 6 and y equals 2x plus 6. Now explain your reasoning. You need to explain. We need to write in that space. So in this case, both x plus 6 and y equals 2x plus 6 are straight lines. that goes through 0 and 6. Okay, we know that one because the initial value is 6. Now in this case, that's the only thing I'm going to write, and the other ones we eliminated because one doesn't have initial value and the other one is a quadratic function. It's not a straight line. So let's do the last one, okay? Last one is a little bit more complicated problem. So this one is a medium problem. And then 6 is the hardest one of all. And I'm going to say is a C problem. It's complex. You need to think a little bit more. They are giving me the graph, okay? And what it says, the graph of an equation is shown at the right. Explain why the equation is a linear function. Then explain how to write the equation of the function. So we need to write the equation of the function. So what we are going to do, it is a linear function because the graph is a straight line. Okay, so I'm going to write that one. It is a linear function because the graph is a straight line. Okay, remember, what is the form of the linear function? Y equals mx plus b, where b is the initial value. B is that point that goes through the y-axis, this one. So where the graph crosses y? In 3. So that means we have y equals mx plus 3. So we have one part of the graph. Now we need to find the other one. Okay? And the other one, we know the initial value. So now we need to find the other one. Now look what I'm going to do. Look what I'm going to do. I'm going to say rise over run. Like this rate of change is rise over run. So we're going to count how many units we're going up and then how many units are going to the right. Now in this case, we don't have enough space to go up. So we are going down and then to the left. Down and to the left. That will make it positive. Okay? So for example, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. So I went down 3 units. Negative because I went down. Negative because I went down. Now let's count how many are we going to the left. 1, 2. So I went 2. Negative because I went to the left. Now you said negative and negative is positive 3 over 2. So that's your rate of change. It's 3 over 2. So the function is y equals 3 over 2 x plus 3. See? And that's the way we're going to do those graphs. And that's problem number 6. Make sure you submit the homework, and we are going to be good. Have a wonderful day.